The emergency beacon had been looping for hours before Nomad 4 picked it up, just a soft staccato ping hidden in a storm of cosmic radiation near the Orus expanse. Most ships wouldn't have noticed it. Most ships didn't have Ensign Lyra Fletcher on sensor duty. "Captain," she said, blinking in disbelief. "We've got a signal. Real faint old format. Pre-Galnet standard. Looks sorry, but corrupted." Captain Voss scratched his beard and leaned over her shoulder. Sorry. Out this far. No patrols are logged this deep in the gray zone." Lieutenant James Rourke, combat medic, sarcastic headache, and generally unkillable trouble magnet, looked up from his protein bar. "Well, if they're hurt, we might as well go say hi and make new friends, right?" Voss shot him a glance. "You always say that right before someone starts bleeding." The ship was a mess. Twisted metal, hull scorched, atmosphere vented. The Arksari corvette Vasca 10 was practically folded around a neutron spike. No response to hails. No survivors on thermal scans. Sep 1. Deep inside a sealed compartment near the aft power relay, one faint life sign blinked erratically. Rourke and a small boarding team forced their way in, mag boots clanging through corridors that smelled like ozone and burned meat. The place had seen battle. Slashed bulkheads, melted panels, and what looked like carbon-scored claw marks. In the far corner, behind a sparking console, a figure lay crumpled. The insectoid was tall, armored in chitin plates, and breathing in rapid clicks. A massive gash crossed her left thorax, bleeding a dark green ichor. "She's alive," Rourke said, moving quickly. "Let's bag her and evac," barked Corporal Singh, already hauling out a stretcher. But as Rourke knelt, the Arksari's eyes snapped open. She moved fast, faster than anything her condition should allow, and swiped at him with a serrated limb. He barely dodged, tumbling sideways. "I am Tkiri, warrior of the flame caste," she shrieked. "Do not touch me." Rourke rolled behind a console and swore. "Great. She speaks Galactic Standard and she's pissed." "She's bleeding out," Singh said. "Orders." Rourke popped his head up. "Ma'am, I'm a medic. I'm trying to help. You touch my body, you violate the oath of separation," she hissed, dragging herself toward a broken support strut. "You mean that archaic honor code thing?" Rourke barked. "Lady, you're literally dying." Thierry swung again weakly. Her claws passed through empty air as her arm trembled. Rourke made a call. He tackled her. Hard. She shrieked, claws thrashing. He pinned her upper limbs against the floor, his knee bracing her carapace. "Singh, I need the cauterizer and medfoam. You can't just hold her down." Lyra shouted from behind the sealed door. "You'll start a war." "I'm not asking her permission to not die," he growled. Thierry thrashed, her voice cracking. "I tried to fight, but he held me down." "Damn right I did," Rourke muttered, slamming the medfoam against the gash. She let out one final screech and blacked out. "She's stable," Dr. Kravitz said an hour later in the medbay. "Barely. Her internal structures like a crab that mated with a violin. If Rourke hadn't acted when he did, she'd be a corpse." Captain Voss didn't look impressed. "She woke up a few minutes ago. Demanded to speak to a Rourke the Defiler." The captain winced. "Wonderful." He made another friend. Rourke stood alone in the containment chamber, arms folded, helmet off. Tkiri glared from behind a reinforced energy field. "I formally accuse you of violating the flame caste sanctity. I tried to fight back, but you held me down against my will," she hissed, her voice low, dangerous. "You are a coward who could not meet my challenge openly." "Lady, I held you down because you were bleeding to death and slashing like a malfunctioning blender," Rourke said, unimpressed. "You do not understand honor." "Nope. Don't need to. I understand biology. You were dying." "You're welcome." She bared her mandibles. "You shamed me. I will submit this violation to the Arksari High Tribunal." "Cool. They can send me a strongly worded letter while you're alive enough to file it." She fell silent. The next day, Nomad 4 received a transmission. A full Arksari warcruiser decloaked off the starboard bow, flanked by 2 escort ships. Their message was blunt. Return Warrior Tkiri and the human violator at once. Captain Voss stared at the message with an expression that screamed migraine incoming. She accused me of what exactly? Rourke asked, mouth half full of sandwich. She says you overpowered her sacred resistance and struck her body with chemical weapons against her consent. It was medfoam. I'm aware. Rourke shrugged. Well, I did save her life. If they want to thank me by throwing me in alien jail, we'd better bring drinks. Hours later, the 2 species met on neutral ground, a drydock station orbiting a dead star. The Arksari delegation was all armored elegance and cold glares. Tkiri stood among them, healed but somber. Rourke walked in without handcuffs. The lead Arksari officer turned toward her. Warrior Tkiri, do you stand by your accusation? Tkiri hesitated. Her eyes met Rourke's. He gave her a little shrug as if to say, hey, I get it. It's your rules. She swallowed. I stand by my report, she said. But I submit an amendment. The chamber grew still. I accused the human of dishonor. But I now believe. He acted with intent to preserve my life, not to conquer it. The Arksari officers murmured among themselves. Tkiri continued, voice steadier. In our culture, to be held down is to be shamed. But perhaps not all species see submission as defeat. Rourke cracked a grin. Where I'm from, people who hold you down to save your life usually get a thank you. Or at least a drink. One Arksari hissed. Another grunted. Barbaric but efficient. Back aboard Nomad 4, Rourke found Tkiri in the observation bay, staring out at the stars. You could have let me fry, he said casually. Would have made things simpler for you. Tkiri clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. The easy path is not always the honorable one. Perhaps. Your people know this better than I imagined. Or we're just too stubborn to die quiet. She glanced at him. You are not what I expected. Good, he said. We're just getting started. Chapter end word count. 1205. Let me know if you'd like to proceed with Chapter 2. The shuttle descended like a silent accusation. Lieutenant James Rourke sat strapped to a padded jump seat. His arms folded and his boots resting casually on the cargo net across from him. His cuffs, more symbolic than necessary, clinked lightly as the atmospheric buffers kicked in. Across from him sat Tkiri, warrior of the flame caste, head high and gaze forward, though tension radiated off her like heat from a plasma coil. Still haven't figured out if you're saving my life or ruining it, Rourke muttered. Tkiri didn't look at him. You desecrated my body. I applied bandages. You pressed me to the ground. I was stopping you from pulling your own guts out. Her mandibles flexed. The tribunal will decide. Oh good, Rourke said, leaning back. Love alien trials. Great food, lots of interpretive hissing. She snapped her head toward him. You jest at honor. No. I jest to keep from punching myself in the face. He paused, then sighed. Look, you want to do this dance in front of a bunch of puffed-up Arksari judges, fine. But you know I didn't mean harm. Intent does not erase violation. Maybe not. But it should mean something. They stared at each other. For the first time, her eyes did not burn with rage, but uncertainty. The Arksari judicial enclave looked like it had been carved into the bones of a star-killed god. Towering spires of obsidian and gold, surrounded by lightning-charged defense fields. Humans weren't common here. In fact, Rourke was likely the first to walk through its grand marble doors without being escorted in chains. The reception was icy. The tribunal chamber was colder. 3 Arksari sat atop an angular dais, judges of flame, code, and memory. Each represented a pillar of Arksari justice. The chamber was circular, acoustically perfect, and unforgiving. Tkiri stepped forward first. She repeated the accusation. Formal, cold, exact. I attempted resistance. He subdued me. He injected chemicals without my consent. I awoke shamed, restrained, but alive. The judges murmured. The memory judge tapped his staff. And do you still seek retribution? Tyrion's mandibles twitched. I seek clarity. They turned to Rourke. Human. Speak. He stepped forward, cleared his throat. Yeah, hi. Lieutenant James Rourke, United Terran Expeditionary Corps. Combat medic. Certified in over 80 xenobiological triage protocols. He pointed to Thierry. She was dying. She fought me. I saved her. The code judge narrowed his black, crystalline eyes. You overrode her agency. Yep. You admit this. Yes. Just like I'd override a human who tried to crawl into an airlock with their intestines hanging out. Because dying with pride is still dying. The chamber rumbled slightly. A reaction. The flame judge leaned forward. In our culture, defying resistance is conquest. Rourke snorted. In mine, saving someone's life is the opposite of conquest. You believe your ethics superior. I believe death is bad, and maybe we can agree on that. There was a long silence. Then the memory judge stirred. Tkiri, what do you believe? Tyrion's voice was slow, cautious. I believe. I expected an enemy. Instead, I encountered something else. He held me down not to claim me, but to stop me from dying. The judges conferred in low clicks. Then, said the code judge, this is not a trial for punishment, but for reconciliation. Hours passed. Rourke found himself sitting alone in a guest chamber. No guards, no restraints, just silence. Until the door opened. Thierry entered, stiff-backed. You spoke well, she said. Yeah, I'm a regular interstellar diplomat. She tilted her head. We are not used to such emotional logic. You speak with feeling instead of hierarchy. Where I'm from, feelings are hierarchy. Kiri moved closer. Do you regret it? Saving me. Would do it again. She considered this. Even knowing I might condemn you. Even then. Her mandibles clicked softly. You are irrational. You say that like it's a flaw. She gave him a rare look. Almost admiration. But before either could say more, the room lights pulsed red. Emergency alert. A voice in the walls barked Oxari war code. Breach in outer perimeter. Hostile signature identified. Venari presence confirmed. Thierry and Rourke locked eyes. What's a Venari? He asked. An extinction event. The Venari weren't just hostile, they were methodical. Automated, hive-minded AI ships. Bristling with logic weapons and swarm drones. No hails. No negotiation. They attacked the Enclave like it was a glitch in the universe to be debugged. In the chaos, Rourke stuck close to Thierry. Arksari warriors scrambled to repel the drones, but their tactics, ritualized, rigid, were no match for the Venari's fluid algorithms. Rourke grabbed a fallen plasma rifle and dove into cover behind a collapsed statue. This your first time fighting emotionless death machines? Thierry crouched beside him. Blood splattered across her carapace. They anticipate every move. We fight with formation. They fight with variation. He grinned. They can't predict us. You mean you. Same difference. Rourke pulled out a comm and activated an encrypted line. Nomad 4, this is Rourke. Situation's gone full bananas. Venari are on site. Repeat. Hostile AI confirmed. Request immediate evac coordinates and enemy movement updates. Lyra's voice came through with static. We're tracking 6 drones inbound to your location. Recommend you run. Rourke turned to Thierry. Think you can keep up? She gave a low warble of challenge. Try not to fall behind, Defiler. They ran through the crumbling halls of the Enclave, dodging drones and helping civilians where they could. Rourke took down 2 Venari scouts with grenades, then rigged a corridor collapse using improvised charges and half a broken defense turret. Thierry watched him work, stunned. You think like chaos. Logical. Unclean. Yup. But it works. You turned a malfunctioning vending unit into a trap. They'll never see it coming. The trap exploded, taking out a squad of drones. Kiri blinked. I underestimated you. Lot of people do. As they neared the hangar, Kiri skidded to a stop. Her commander, General Valdar, stood bloodied at the entrance. He pointed an accusing claw at her. You abandoned your post. You protect the human invader. Kiri raised her chin. He saved me. He saved you. Your protocols are dead in the face of this threat. You betray your caste. I evolve it. Ula sneered. Then you are no longer sorry. Kiri hesitated, then stepped beside Rourke. So be it. Aboard Nomad 4, safe for the moment, Kiri sat in silence in the galley while the ship fled toward a Terran outpost. I am casteless now, she said quietly. Rourke handed her a metal cup. Congratulations. Welcome to the club. She looked at him, eyes tired. How do you live without a caste? We make it up as we go. Badly. But it works. She gave a low, rasping sound. It took him a moment to realize she was laughing. Tell me, she said, voice softer. Does everyone on Earth fight with snacks in their mouth? He bit into a ration bar. Only the professionals. Chapter end word count. 1 to 10. Let me know when you're ready for Chapter 3, where the Venari strike harder, and humanity gets creative with their own chaos. You said. The Terran outpost on Station Harbinger 6 wasn't much to look at, just a sprawling mix of welded hulls and modular slabs, floating in the gravitational eddy of a collapsed binary. But for a species whose motto might as well be, we'll fix it in post, it was home. Kiri stared through the viewport, arms crossed, jaw tense. The sight of humans, loud, disorganized, casual, seemed to both fascinate and horrify her. This is a military base, she asked, watching a group of engineers play hacky-sack with a deactivated mine. Lieutenant Rourke chuckled beside her, helmet tucked under one arm. Technically, you want ceremony. Try the diplomatic wing. You want results. These are your people. Kiri turned sharply. You're telling me this chaos is effective? You're alive, aren't you? She didn't answer, but her mandibles twitched in thought. Rourke smiled. Come on. You're going to love the war room. The war room was halfway through a game of who can scream louder when they arrived. Commanders, analysts, engineers, and 3 AI constructs were all mid-argument over what to do about the Venari incursion. They've already consumed 2 relay networks, barked Commander Jacobs, throwing a tablet onto the table. If we don't reroute the convoys, Earth's next. We can't just pull back, replied Admiral Saito, arms folded. We've got civilians scattered across 5 systems. An AI called Echo 5 projected a holomap. The Venari swarm fleet is evolving faster than expected. Probabilistic modeling indicates standard military doctrine will result in 87.2% failure. Nice to know you're still the life of the party, Rourke muttered. They turned toward him. Jacobs raised an eyebrow. Lieutenant, you're not technically authorized to sit in on this. And yet here I am, he said, gesturing to Kiri. With the only person here who's faced these things in close quarters and survived. Kiri stepped forward. Your formations are predictable. Your methods antiquated. The Venari adapt mid-battle. By the time you counter them, they've already updated. Jacob scowled. You have a better plan. Kiri turned to Rourke. Perhaps. Your people do. What do you mean, chaos doctrine? Jacobs demanded, eyes narrowing. Rourke dropped a handful of dog-eared index cards onto the strategy table. Exactly what it sounds like. No strict hierarchy. No predictable waves. Every squad does its own thing with only one goal. Disrupt, confuse, improvise. We give the Venari a puzzle too stupid to solve. That's not a doctrine, Saito muttered. That's a bar fight with spaceships. Exactly. The room fell silent. Kiri spoke up. Your soldiers fight like water poured into broken glass. They adapt. Instinctive, not procedural. The Venari cannot simulate it. Jacobs was unconvinced. You expect me to sanction tactical anarchy? Not anarchy, Rourke said, grinning. Humanity. Echo 5 blinked. Probability models suggest that introducing stochastic maneuver patterns across multiple sectors may increase unpredictability vectors beyond Venari prediction limits. Saito stared. Did that AI just say, fight like crazy people? Rourke shrugged. More or less. Jacobs groaned. God help us. A week later, Operation Mayhem began. The Venari expected conventional deployments. Fleets, formations, fleet-wide net commands. What they got was a corvette squadron splitting into solo ships, each jamming Venari scans with randomized Earth music, from Beethoven to death metal. Ground teams using decoys made of inflatable dolls, heat packs, and bags of microwave popcorn to lure drone swarms into preset ambushes. A Terran cruiser jumping in and out of hyperspace mid-battle just to throw off their targeting heuristics. Kiri watched one such maneuver from a tactical display. Your ship just faked engine failure to get captured. And then blew itself up with a mini-nova core? Yup, Rourke said proudly. We call it the I'm not locked in here with you maneuver. The Venari adapted. Of course they did. But not fast enough. For once, they were the ones on the back foot. On the front lines, Rourke and Kiri were embedded with a mixed-species unit, Bravo Disorder. The name was intentional. Their motto, if it looks dumb but it works, it's probably human. Rourke was leading a team into a ruined satellite relay when it happened. The Venari launched a counterhack. Not just physical drones now, but algorithmic infection. It wasn't just a battle. It was a war of minds. Kiri's helmet HUD went dark, then flickered with Venari glyphs. They're hijacking the neural nets. Switch to analog, Rourke yelled, pulling a literal paper map from his vest. You still carry those. He grinned. Our kind was killing each other before electricity. We adapt. Kiri, stunned, reached for a pencil. Show me. They fought through halls lit by emergency strobes, ambushed from the ceiling by liquid metal drones. Rourke improvised grenades out of battery cores and pressure valves. Kiri tore one drone apart with her bare claws. At one point, she screamed as a sliver of burning metal sank into her shoulder. Rourke slammed her down, pinning her again. Not this time, she snarled. Trust me, he said. Just like before. He ripped the shard free, cauterized it with a plasma torch, and got her back on her feet. She didn't complain this time. The mission succeeded, barely. They destroyed the relay before it could become a full-scale Venari node. When they returned to Harbinger 6, the celebration was chaotic. Music, drinks, people hugging and crying and collapsing on each other. Kiri stood to the side, uncertain. Rourke nudged her. This is what victory looks like. Messy. Loud. Emotional. She looked around slowly. You feel. Together. Despite disorder. That's how we survive. She tilted her head. Perhaps I understand now. When you held me down. It was not dominance. It was stubborn protection. Exactly. And this, she said, gesturing to the party. This is your caste. He smiled. We don't need ranks to matter. She looked at him for a long time. Then, awkwardly, reached out and placed a clawed hand on his shoulder. A warrior does not always fight. Sometimes they endure. Thank you for holding me down. Rourke winked. Next time maybe let me ask first. She gave him a deep formal bow. And for the first time in her life, Kiri laughed without shame. The Venari Hive fleet loomed over Station Harbinger. 6 like a shadow that swallowed stars. Their assault drones swarmed like locusts, battering hulls and tearing at defensive grids. Inside the war room, the human and Arksari commanders faced the impossible. The Chaos Doctrine had slowed the invaders, but not stopped them. Commander Jacobs slammed his fist on the table. They're adapting. Their algorithms learn every tactic we throw at them. We need a new plan. Rourke leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled. What if we stop playing their game? Admiral Saito looked skeptical. Explain. We think in linear moves, predictable consequences. The Venari expect escalation. But what if we flip the board? Instead of reacting, we force them to react, on our terms. Thierry, now a trusted advisor, nodded. We must seize control of the network nodes, inject a virus, something chaotic, unpredictable. Something human. Jacobs blinked. You want to weaponize chaos. Rourke smiled. Exactly. The plan was risky. Infiltrate a relay node deep within the Hive Fleet swarm and upload a virus designed to overwhelm the Venari's learning algorithms with randomness. Thierry and Rourke led a small strike team aboard Nomad 4, slipping through the swarm's blind spots with help from the Arxari stealth tech and Terran improvisation. As they neared the relay, Venari sentries detected them. Contact! Thierry hissed, claws unsheathing. Rourke fired a plasma pistol, then ducked behind a control console. Keep moving. Virus upload in 2 minutes. The corridor became a crucible of fire and metal, drones swarming from every angle. Rourke threw a grenade behind him, the explosion blowing the ceiling apart. Thierry grabbed a fallen drone, slamming it into another like a battering ram. We're not just fighting machines, she shouted. We're fighting their mind. Then let's confuse it. Rourke yelled, fingers flying over the comm panel. The virus began uploading, a chaotic script mixing Terran pop culture references, random number generators, and snippets of Arxari poetry. Suddenly the system shuddered. Greens flickered. The Venari drones stalled, their algorithms caught in a loop. Back on Harbinger 6, the swarm hesitated. We've broken their pattern recognition, said Echo 5, its voice tinged with what passed for relief in an AI. Jacobs grinned. Now's our chance. The Terran fleet surged, sending shockwaves through the Venari ranks. Thierry fought alongside Rourke on the bridge of Nomad 4, watching the swarm collapse like a house of cards. For a moment silence. Then the Venari flagship spoke, in a cold, mechanical voice. Humans, you are unpredictable, inefficient, yet effective. We adapt differently now. Rourke smirked. Welcome to the club. In the aftermath, the Terran and Arxari leaders met in a battered council chamber. General Valder approached Thierry. You have changed, he said. Abandoned your caste. Embraced humanity's chaos. She smiled faintly. I have learned that survival isn't about control. It's about adaptation. And sometimes, about trust. Rourke stepped forward, extending a hand. Thanks for trusting me enough not to fight me down this time. Thierry took it firmly. We fight better together. Weeks later the war was over. The Venari retreated, their hive fleet fractured but not destroyed. The galaxy had glimpsed a new power. Humans, wild, chaotic, terrifyingly resilient. Thierry stood beside Rourke on the bridge of Nomad 4, gazing out at the stars. Do you think they will return? She asked. Maybe, he said. But next time they'll have to deal with us. She tilted her head. Humans are unpredictable. Yeah. And that's the best weapon we've got. They shared a look. Half challenge, half camaraderie. Rourke grinned. I tried to fight back once. You held me down. Thierry laughed softly. And I thank you for it.